Mr. Boyce, every time I pass your house, I look to see how the garden's coming along and see if the bunny is out. You're muted.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Are we on now? You sent a nice card. I remember when they came and you said, say hi to the bunny.
Yeah. Years ago, I had two. Well, one was a Dutch bunny and the other was a mutt and Dutch bunny. And long story, they were both rescues. I had my heart broken. I'd never had a pet before in my life. I decided to get this bunny. And then the bunny foster parent is like, well, the bunny is lonely. It needs a bunny friend. And I said, You're right, it does. So I had these two bunnies and they were just so delightful. So I always look out to see how the bunny is doing.
Well, because of allergies, we don't have pets in the house. I don't have a big enough yard for a dog, but it works just right on the garden fence to have a couple of rabbits in the hutch there. Presently only one. And as soon as there's a rabbit show, maybe the county fair this summer will add to it.
Okay. What kind
and
of bunny?
They really started from my days in 4-H, showing rabbits and chickens. So
okay.
I'm still kind of caught there.
Yeah, bunnies are just great. They're just, and of course, East Lansing, we have neighborhood bunnies.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Always.
But this one begs, anytime you're out in the yard, it begs for grass or something green from the garden. So there's a whole row of lettuce and carrots grown for the rabbit, and it's always begging when you're out there. It sees you coming. So
they are smart little animals. Last year, I had something eating in my backyard, and they're like, no, it's a bunny. I'm like, no, because I've got parsley. So if it was a bunny, it would go for a parsley, I'd think. But
oh yes, most likely yes. Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So anyway, say hi to the bunny. I wave at your bunny and imagine my much better half is like, no bunnies. I'm like,
well, the neighborhood, the wild ones.
Yes.
So greetings to everyone else here that's coming on.
Yeah, good afternoon or evening, I guess we should say at this point. Good evening, everyone. Let's see. Just checking around. It is 6 o'clock. This meeting is already being recorded and live streaming. So I did hear from, let's see, I heard from, Syed is not able to join us today. And that Josh was going to be attending from a different location. Might give him 1 minute to join on, and I'm going to pull up the agenda here, and then we can go ahead and get started because we have some great presentations today. So why don't we just call this to order? So we'll call the Transportation Commission meeting of June 7th to order, and I will turn it over to Brad to do the roll.
Okay, Nicole, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'll do the roll. Sorry. Let's see. In attendance, we will go John Boyce.
Here and attending virtually from Ingham County, East Lansing, Michigan.
Thank you. Troy Fossbender.
Here from East Lansing, Ingham County.
Joshua Cooper.
Hello, Josh Cooper. I'm tuning in from Birmingham, Michigan, Oakland County.
Thank you. Joy Lichty is muted. You're muted, Joel.
Joel, you're still muted. There you go.
Joel Lichty reporting from East Lansing, Ingham County.
And Scott McCormick.
This is Scott McCormick. I'm here in Ingham County from East Lansing.
All right, there we go. We have quorum. I'll turn it over to you, Scott.
Okay, we have the roll call. I would like to go for an approval of the agenda. Has anyone not read the agenda, which includes approval of the minutes, an email from MSU, any communications we may have from the audience, the business agenda, which includes the presentation of transportation funding by Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, presentation on the Albert Avenue road closure, a discussion of invitees and topics for the 2021 meeting, and any important transportation issues. We also have one additional item, which was some photographs. Nicole, did you get that email that I forwarded? So at the end of it, we'll go over that. And then we also had a email from, oh no, that's covered, email from MSU. Unfinished business, committee reports, and any other board comments. Does anyone like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve.
Thank you, Joshua. And I need a second.
Second.
Is there any objection to changing the motion to by acclamation? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. So the first item is the written communications was a letter that we received from Ellie Bennett from ASM.
Did we get an approval to?
Yeah, it was by acclamation. I asked if there was any objection to changing it to by acclamation so it becomes unanimous.
But I still think we need a motion.
We had a motion. We had
Okay.
a motion and a second.
Okay. Lisa?
I'm a little out of my zone here, but I don't think we can do motions by acclamation in government. I think we have to have people actually vote. I could be wrong.
I've been doing this for 25 years with the federal government. I never had a problem. I don't know if there's a state issue with doing it.
Okay.
But if you'd like to vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone in favor?
We're in favor by vote by acclamation.
Right, thank you. All right, let's move on to the Emily Bennett from ASMSU.
So did we approve the agenda and the minutes? Sorry, I got to
Yes,
note
that
that
was-
we only approved one of the two. So I just want to make sure that we approved the agenda and the minutes.
Oh, you're right. We only approved the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You guys have to unmute to vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion is approved. Moving on to the first item, Emily Bennett from ASMSU, which is the student government at ASMSU. She was reaching out about the possibility of presenting to the Transportation Committee about protected biker lanes. This was a bill that was passed in her 57th session of the General Assembly. She attached a copy of the bill and it goes to more in depth. What I would like to recommend is that we read that bill after this meeting and put it on our next agenda. Is there any objection to doing that?
I agree. It would be good to review that.
Yeah, I agree. Hearing no objection, Nicole, can we ensure that it gets put on the next meeting's minutes?
Yes, and just a reminder, our next meeting, we're in June, so our next meeting is August because we don't have one in July based on the holiday situation at the beginning of the month.
Okay. The next item, we had communications from the audience. Do we have anyone not on the commission or not staff online?
We currently don't have anybody attending.
Okay, we'll move to the business agenda. The first item is the presentation on transportation funding by the TCRPC. And it was an agenda item report that was included that Andrea, is it pronounced Strach?
Strach, but thank you
Okay.
very much, Mr. McCormick.
So we'll turn it over to you. Nicole, if we could, do you have a presentation or just?
I
a
do,
talk?
if someone could
Okay.
let
can
me
you-
have access, that would be
Nicole
fantastic.
or whoever, can you share screen?
Okay, Okay, so first let's see, I'm gonna work on that really quick. Okay, is to share. Okay, so first off, I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to come in here. I'm very passionate about education, no matter what profession I've been in, and I've been in a few. And what I'm here to speak to you about is our Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, federal funding, and how our role plays into this, and basically through your committee as well. So just a little bit about Tri-County. We have more than one program in our agency. So basically we do economic development program, we have an environmental program, and a transportation program. And that's what I'm here to speak to you about. Our guiding document is our MTP, and our federal designation is our Metropolitan Planning Organization. And basically our role is to take the federal funding that gets channeled to the state, and then we help channel it to the local agencies through our planning process. And so that's what we're going to kind of speak of today. And we also do quite a few other initiatives. We have a wealth of information on our website. I hope to share that link with you later, but in the sake of time, I'm just kind of moving through this a little bit. Thing to know about our commission is that we are a board of 19 representatives, and that the city of East Lansing has a seat on our board, and that is actually your mayor, Aaron Stevens, who sits on our board. So he comes to our board meetings and cast his vote for regional planning for transportation, economic development, environment. So it's kind of interesting to see that. We also do have a technical committee, and that's our CARTS committee. And that is something that Nicole McPherson and East Lansing does sit on and makes recommendations to our board. So that's just kind of how you see how this committee informs the city informs Tri-County, Tri-County votes, and you can kind of see how it makes this beautiful collaborative process of planning. So transportation revenue, we all know that we pay for through taxes of some sort to generate revenue for transportation. This is kind of a common revenue source. So I'm just kind of showing an example. It is the gas tax that is through the feds and the state as well. So when that's happening is basically the federal government collects or bonds or somehow makes revenue, right, through their legislation, and then it gets dispersed to us. All transportation funding comes from federal legislation. The most current act is our FAST Act, or Fixing America's Surface Transportation. It was signed in December, and it is current through fiscal year 2020, which is September 30th, 2020. And so that's kind of what we're looking at, is we're in this unique period where there's going to be new legislation proposed. Some federal revenue did come through our America Rescue Plan Act of 2021 that was signed in March 2021. I think it was approximately $40 billion came in transportation funding. So, and if you're following legislation, which I do, but I don't get set onto it until it's signed into law, is that there is a new bill that is being discussed between the House right now and the Transportation Committee on the federal level. There is some discussion of whether it'll be signed in time or if we will have a reauthorization of the FAST Act until next fiscal year. So we're kind of waiting and seeing. So here's where it gets fun. So we see all this, we know it comes to us. How, right, is the question. Well, I love this diagram. I think it shows an awful lot. It shows government at its very, very best, is what I think. So basically, this is the federal aid that has come to Michigan, right? And it's all in these different little pots, or actually I call them buckets, pots, whatever you want to call it. And you can see all the different ones. And each one of these has different qualifications or eligibility, okay? Now there's some fine print down here, and we'll talk about it because I have it in another slide because I do like to highlight it, is that state law requires the sum of local federal allocations to be 25% of the total funds, less CMAQ, enhanced bridge, and demo, right? So basically, all this money up here, despite a few exemptions, right? And CMAQ, it's split 50-50, goes in the formula that's by the state legislation of 75% trunk line or MDOT projects and 25% local projects, okay? So, and then you kind of get to see this down. I love this. I mean, I love that it's become visual, right? Because, and then you need to keep in mind, that these are by millions of dollars, right? So for example, we'll talk about it, but 0.4 isn't really going to get us anywhere. We actually get 400,000. So it's by millions on top of that. So all of this comes every year. Kind of, my friend Heidi gets to make this lovely map, and I just love it because it really shows how it's designated. And we can talk a little bit about that. So Tri-County or East Lansing is in a MPO area. We're actually in a greater area called a TMA, or a transportation management area. So all of this gets broken down. You can see MDOT only, right? And this is the part I learned this year that I've been trying to focus on a little bit more. What's federal law, right? Which is the black lines, okay? And you can kind of see, right? And then what is MDOT's administrative policy? So this is what they kind of decide. And it's very interesting. But I guess the keynote to really know, how does federal aid come to the state? And it's by population. And then how does it further, so that it goes through the 75-25 split, right? And then the local 25% comes to the region, once again, by population, different categories or buckets when you get down here. Okay, everybody kind of understand that? There's a few of you could nod. Okay, good. So if you want this graphic, I'll send it to you. I find it very, very interesting. The other part that's interesting is we get all this money, but we're not allowed to spend it all. So this is our fiscal year obligation authority. So it's kind of like some of it is held back for projects that go over their programmed amount or budgeted amount so that we don't run into a deficit. So if you can see, of this money, right, we can only spend 88% of it. And then that 88% gets trickled down. Okay. Okay. So we're only focusing on federal aid, as we mentioned with the gas taxes. There's state aid, there's local aid, there's different fundings. Basically, Tri-County's role is to focus on the federal aid and how to deliver projects using the planning process. So lovely slide there.
I have a question. I have a question on that, if I may.
Yeah.
Is the DNR that's in a darker blue, is that it's not listed as federal or state? Is that what?
So if you look here, it's by federal law somehow that DNR Rec Trails gets this amount of money off the top, right?
Okay.
So it's our transportation alternatives program. So basically, it's for creating trails.
No, I know what it is. I just wanted to know whether it was federal or state.
It's not. It comes to the DNR, which gets ran by the state, and it comes by federal law.
And then the gray blocks?
So those those are by, once again, federal law, the any areas and the population sub allocations for transportation alternatives. So we're going to talk more about this program because it's a very unique program. And we can talk about it, but basically what ends up happening is this 27.3 million, you go through, get 88% of it. Some comes off the top to DNR, and then it gets split 50-50, right? Any area versus population sub-allocation. And then if you look down here, we're over 200K in population. So we get 400,000. That is our MPO TAP dollars. And we'll talk more about how to get additional TAP dollars. Okay. So here's the biggest thing I love about people, and I get this call, and I'm sure Nicole does, is we talk about funding opportunities. I get asked, well, when's my road going to get funded? The key thing about federal funding, it has to be on federal aid roads. So, here's a little snapshot. We actually do have maps on it, but you can kind of see the road network through East Lansing. And yet the only ones that are available for federal aid are the colored ones, right? So all of these are local roads or subdivision roads. They're not eligible for this federal funding. But it's kind of an interesting to see, like if I clicked on this, it would pull up the map, but I just kind of did a snapshot for the sake of time. But I kind of invite everybody to look at that because it's very interesting to see what functional class roads are and things like that. Okay. So then we talk a little bit more about the fine print, as I call it, that 75% of the funding goes to MDOT for trunk line projects and 25% comes to local projects. And I also need to let you know or remind you as well, this is also transit projects. It's not just roadway, it's transit as well, okay? So how does that kind of shape up for our MPO region, which is the counties of Clinton, Ingham, and Eaton, okay? So we get CMAQ money, which is for congestion. We actually get an annual allocation of $900,000. This needs to be used in our area, okay? We've gotten new legislation that gives us highway infrastructure program, which is approximately $260,000. This is kind of newer. It's been since fiscal year 2018. They've done some creative things with it, like bridge bundling, and try to help our bridge, things like that. So, and then we also, through the American Recovery that I spoke of earlier, got this COVID money of approximately $3 million, and that includes urban funding as well as rural funding. So our surface transportation urban funding is approximately $5 million per year. It's actually decreased over time from our targets. We've actually had to reduce what was programmed to meet a fiscal constraint. And what that has to be used in our urban service boundary. So pretty much the Lansing, East Lansing general urban area, because we have other funding for our rural areas, kind of out by me. I'm in Allocation Township. Okay, so some of those projects like that, where you're outside of the urban area, and that's $2 million. So these are decreasing. Our surface transportation small urbans are very small cities like St. John's, Charlotte, Eaton Rapids. There's a Williamston, Weberville in Ingham County, and then they get $375,000 capped project every other year, pretty much. So that's what they get. And then here's where we talk once again about our Transportation Alternatives Program, MPO dollars. So these are funding sources that come to us by formula. As I've said, some of these are actually decreasing. Usually we see a 2% increase, even though it doesn't keep up with inflation. So we've had to reduce some projects as years have gone by to maintain fiscal constraint. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this funding thing. So all this comes by formula to our region. And then there are some opportunities.
Excuse me, for you. Yep. What are PO dollars?
PO dollars?
PO. You said it comes to us as PO dollars.
I said by formula dollars.
Oh, okay.
NPO, sorry. NPO dollars, right?
Oh, okay.
So it comes to as our NPO, okay? So instead of it's that little pot that makes us a metropolitan planning organization, and because we have over 200,000 people, we, as the MPO, which is Clinton, Eaton, and Ingham counties, have a commission that helps bring in the collaborative process into the programming and planning and distribution of these dollars. And we can talk a little more about that. So Transportation Alternatives Program has an MPO allocation of $388,000 for the Tri-County area. These are projects that are selected, that are brought to us when we do a call for projects. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So the next slide is, these are by formula, is opportunities for transportation funding by grants. There are local bridge funding, there's safety grants, and then there's a statewide transportation alternative program. So if your project is not funded by MPO dollars or through the $388,000, there are opportunities to submit a grant application for larger projects. And an example, that one I think East Lansing has done is there's a sub-program from the statewide tax, called Safe Routes to School. And East Lansing, Nicole, correct me, was successful in getting a Safe Routes to School project, I believe in fiscal year 2022.
Yep, 22. That was the first major infrastructure grant that was applied for by the city and the school district. And we did get a portion of that funding. So that will come to fruition next year.
Yep. So that's an example of, there are funding opportunities. You just have to submit the appropriate grants. And, it does still take local resources to provide the match. I should say, for all of the funding sources, especially these ones, there is a split once again. So basically what ends up happening is a project is federally funded 80% and with 20% local match. So that makes it challenging for some local agencies to program projects because they need the match dollars to go with it. So just know it's 80/20. And then this is kind of a summary of every year I get the lovely job of doing our federal funding allocation summary. We have a report that's called our Obligated Projects Report. And then this is a summary of all of the federal funds, whether they were grant or formula, that was given to this region. So if you look at it, our federal funding amount that got obligated was $197,354 with a total investment of $105,459,779. So that just kind of, it goes to show you, there's more into the report of what specific projects these dollars went into, but I kind of like the visual so that you can see how that came to be. And part of it really was the state funded Rebuilding Michigan projects too. And we can show you a little bit about that. So every year we kind of do an analysis of how much federal funding we got, how much we requested, and what was our total investment, so to speak, for transportation in our 3-county planning area. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting, right? So we get all this federal money, we have different federal fundings, and we need to talk about what guides that. And so, here is our long-term transportation funding and planning, really. So we just adopted our Moving Mid-Michigan 2045, so it's planning for 25 years plan in December of 2020. And basically what it did was take into all of our public input, our technical experts such as Nicole, our policymakers, such as our board and other boards in the region, the data analysis that identified our needs and anticipated of 25 years, and then the mandates. And some of the mandates include federal planning factors and also transportation performance measures. Basically, the federal government says, so we're giving you all of this federal funding. We want to make sure you're spending it and having an impact on the system. So for example, some of our transportation performance measures is safety, it's pavement condition, it's congestion, and things like that. So we kind of had to take all of those and put them into one plan to prepare us for the next 25 years. And out of that plan, we ended up with 3 goals here. Okay. So these are our goals, and they each have 3 objectives. And Nicole, this is going to be news to Nicole a little bit too. So we're having to implement our MTP, which is our long range plan, and help meet our goals, which have the mandates of our performance measures. And the way that we do that is through our short-term plan, transportation planning, which is our transportation improvement program. Currently, our TIP has about $860 million of transportation investment in the region. And then this little graphic kind of explains, here's Moving Mid-Michigan, that's the long view, right? Here's our TIP, which is the 4-year view. And then as an agency, we do a unified work program that kind of talks about what we're going to do each year to keep everything moving, right? To make progress on our plan. So the interesting part is that our next call for projects is going to be in August. So we're kind of wrapping up our 4-year 2020 to 2023 TIP. And though we're only in 2021, we're close to fiscal year 2022. So we are beginning to develop our next 4-year plan. And typically what you will see is fiscal year 2023 makes some changes, but generally is an overlap year into the next TIP. So our goal is to adopt it in June using the goals and objectives of the new MTP, which means it will probably impact project scoring, things like that, to make sure that we achieve the goals and objectives and also our investment. Our board changed our investment priorities a little bit when they adopted our MTP and wanted specific funding for non-motorized and for congestion, because that was one of the priorities that came out of that. So this is very interesting. I love sharing this. We actually, if I'm going to pull it up live because it makes it so much better. We actually have an interactive map of all of our TIP projects. And it makes it just a little more interactive so that you can kind of see what happens. So this is right on our website. If you scroll over here, this is a great way for your transportation committee to learn on what projects are coming in the area, what has been decided, what year they're in, and how they're funded. So for example, Coolidge Road is in fiscal year 2023, and it is going to be funded with STU and TAP. It has a total project cost of $1,288,000. Nice job, Nicole. $88,209. And you can also see the local cost. The length is 1.32 miles. So if you look at the work description, I'm trying to get better at adding these. It's road rehab with bike lanes. Okay, so this project was submitted in 2018 for this tip cycle. And I'm sure that you guys are going to have some input on submitting some projects for the next tip. But here's where you can see like this project is fiscal year 2021. Abbott Road might even be under construction, Nicole. I don't know. Okay, yes. I don't drive through East Lansing a lot. But so this is kind of what ended up being the total funding, right? So it's just kind of interesting. You can see that if we zoom out, it's also nice to see the major freeway work. A lot of this is being done with Rebuilding Mid-Michigan and state funds as well. You know, here's one, like we know that this needed to be done, right? This 496 project, that was Rebuilding Michigan. And then the next one in fiscal year 2022 is going to be 496, kind of the underground or buried part of the expressway is coming out of that. So keep in mind that these are the obligated year. The construction year may be different, but you can see that Rebuilding Michigan program funding right here. Okay, so that kind of exists. And as we talk about prioritizing with our MTP and some of the transportation performance measures, one of the things that I just want you to know is we do have national functional class maps right on our website. We also have pavement condition. It's very interesting to see. This is rated from 2018 to 2019. Some of the pavement due to COVID was not rated last year, but overall as a region, it's kind of nice just to see where we are. It's not good. It's not really good. Most of our road condition or road miles is in poor condition for the region. So kind of bad. I think that is part of the reason why we're receiving so much attention for Rebuilding Michigan projects in our region, to get some of that up to date. And then as roads are constructed or rehabilitated, this PASER rating will change from probably red to good. Some of it may have already needed to. We talked about Abbott Road is right under construction. As you can see, it was in poor condition. By the time we rate again late this summer or next year, it'll be turned into good condition. But we're always trying to improve roads. And unfortunately, even with the amount of funding we have, they're always deteriorating faster than we can improve them. And then the other thing I always think is interesting too is one of our other transportation performance measures is our crash data. And this is the crash data for city of East Lansing. If you notice, there's two, and it's because of the counties, how you guys kind of go into Clinton County and Ingham County. So this one is Ingham County. It's really interesting. You can really look at each crash and where and kind of find out more information.
Andrea, I don't think your slides are forward, or is everybody seeing? What slide are you on, Andrea?
Uh-oh, I probably shared the wrong thing. I'm thinking I'm sharing maps. Hold on.
There you are.
There we are. Okay, well, I was just talking to myself there for a little bit on our interactive maps. I don't know how to new share. Let's try doing this. Yep, okay. So thank you, Nicole, I apologize. But here's our regional interactive map, and I apologize. And then I won't go through it again.
It's not showing the interactive map. It's showing the question slide.
It still won't do it, huh?
But that's okay. As long as we have the link, we can look at it.
Yeah, we'll give you the link to it. I don't know. So basically, you have an interactive map. Can you see this one now?
Yes.
Okay. I am so sorry. I'm so embarrassed with technology these days. I should have dragged one of my teenagers in here. So like same thing, Abbott Road, you can select on East Lansing projects and it shows the funding and the year. So basically that's what I'm trying to show you, is that there's a ton of resources. See, when I move it, it doesn't always.
And that's the allocation year, not necessarily the
Yeah,
implementation
Not
year.
the construction year. That's the year it's programmed in.
Okay.
And then our pavement condition for East Lansing, like I said, Abbott Road, now that it's under construction, it was in poor condition. It's probably going to get turned to great, fantastic, a total 10, and good. And then same thing, I apologize. Our regional crash data too is kind of interesting to look at. I'm not sure. I get calls all the time like, there's so many crashes at this intersection, and I'm not an engineer, so it's really nice for me to be able to call the local agency and be like, can you look at this intersection? We're getting calls. So they can analyze, what's going on in that area as well. So, okay. Let's go back to my PowerPoint and we'll be good there. Okay. So basically, here was the tip projects that led me onto a tangent about our performance measures, showing some interactive maps that are on our website. And the thing to note is that we are doing our next tip. Nicole knows it's coming, and that we'll be distributing our call for projects in August with a due date in September 15th, and then do a lot of analysis. And one of the things that we're doing different that we haven't done before is we're actually going to ask for public comment on all of our candidate projects. So similar to the tip map you saw, we're going to try to do the same kind of map for public comment on every project that's submitted to us, so we can get more involvement about the projects that are selected. It's really interesting. I know funding comes through population, but it has to be a regional effort because transportation doesn't stop at a jurisdiction. So when people say, well, why does it look like all that funding is going there? Well, because that's the need, right? Transportation does not stop at a jurisdiction. You have to go where people want projects, where there's a priority, where there's a need, and things like that. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind is, we work on this at our CARTS technical committee and also on our board level to address the regional need for the region. So, but here's our schedule. And I know Nicole is going to be sending me lots of wonderful projects that are going to be really fun to score. And I'm sure you guys might have some input on that as well. So with that, Nicole, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, and I'm so sorry I'm not technical savvy.
It was great, Andrea. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much.
And I'm not sure if this answered questions or led to more, but you can always reach out to Nicole or myself, and we'll be happy to get you the information that you need.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone online? And by the way, for the record, Julie had joined at the start of this conversation for purposes of roll.
Well, last comment is that it's just a really exciting to be doing transportation. I often get asked, when is our opportunity for funding? And the answer is now. And if not, you have to wait another 4 years. So the answer is now. Right, Nicole? Like I've been telling you guys.
We already have our list, kind of.
Oh, no.
So, we're working on it already.
That makes, but the answer is now, and I really try to get that message out because I don't want local agencies to miss their opportunity. And because of the 80-20% match, they needed to do some fiscal responsibility and know that they have that as well. So it's just now. The answer is now. Now is the great time to be involved in transportation. Thank you all for having me. I really
Looks like
appreciate
Julie
it.
has her hand raised.
I do. Hi, thank you.
Hi, Julie.
Here. I can also start my video. Yes. I think I'm here. Maybe I'm here. Well, I'm not sure. But thank you for your presentation. It was great. I was particularly heartened by one of your last slides where you mentioned that you're trying something new and inviting public comment earlier in the process. And I was just wondering, and this is no knock on the great communication staff we have in the city of East Lansing, but I also know that there are plenty of people in our community who will definitely want to participate in that. And so I wondered if you had given any thought or have developed any plans for communicating the process and timeline for civic engagement on that topic.
You have no idea how much I've spent on this. So in my brain, I'm still a non-formal educator. So I'm always like education, and public comment. So we've already started to do a development of a map like you saw for the TIP projects, but have them be candidate projects where they could select the project and do a public comment form right online.
Okay.
Now, how we hope to get that word out is through social media. We're also creating a new section on our webpage, and basically it's through our local agencies. We have 78 jurisdictions in this MPO, and they're going to get tired of me I hope in some ways of
Sure.
saying the answer is now. And, we're trying to hold that public comment, it's not the best. It's only like 2 weeks because that's when we do project
Okay.
selection day. So just to give you an
Right.
idea of how that's going to happen, especially in the virtual world that COVID has put us in, developing this public comment map was kind of I dug my heels in. Okay. Like, there you have it. Okay. Like, this can be doable. And so I'm really excited about it. But what's going to end up happening, all the candidate projects are going to be up on a map, right, where people can select public comment. And then we're going to have project selection day, which Nicole and our technical committee will be part of, but we always invite the public once again. And then we're going to kind of whittle that map list down and have it be more of a nominated project. And then our board, the comment period is going to be open quite long until our board takes action in February. And my biggest thing about public
so it's a nice long process.
Yes. And I'm actually hoping, like, we might try to hold a workshop, same thing. If East Lansing is doing something, they would like us to draw attention to it. Great. If they can share our post that this map is available, thank you in advance. So we're trying to make it so that we have tools that can be shared with the local agencies in the way they know is most effective. Right? What works in East Lansing might not work in parts of Lansing. We're actually been doing quite a bit of public involvement for, EJ populations, which is like low income, minority, things like that. What is the best way to get that message? We're really working on it. It's something that is, in our radar. Right. It's always a challenge, and we're trying to get better at it. Right? I mean, that's what we do. You know, we try to get better, but basically it may take some of you sharing it. There's networking groups out there. You guys have friends. You know your local area better than I do. You may, take one of the projects that Nicole puts forward and be like, that's a great project. I'm so glad you're adding this. But if you could add a safety element, whatever, it may be 100% better. Our goal is to put forth the best projects and also with the best public involvement. I don't know how many of you are familiar right here in Meridian Township. Okemos Bridge is getting replaced over the Grand River. You want to talk about public comment, but it's all better for it, right? It's all better for it.
Sure.
And the other thing I just want to say is once the project is programmed, it sounds like such a hill. Well, then all of the responsibility turns to your technical staff. And I just want to say, I have to give them a shout out, how hard and challenging it is to get a project completed, right? Like programmed, the money is one thing, but to actually get it engineered, to get it constructed, to get it finished, to get it completed, to get the contract finalized is a whole nother, I don't know, it's like 3 or 4 more hills. I feel like they're trudging through sand. There you go, Nicole. There's my plug for you.
Well, I appreciate this, and I do appreciate all the thought you've put into it, in part because I think because of the conversation that's happening at the national level with our new transportation secretary, there are new populations of people and young people who suddenly have a real passion for transportation. And so it's great that this is a place that we can easily direct that enthusiasm and they can start plugging in.
Well, and we've learned so much.
And
too.
So being able to build on that enthusiasm is so key.
Well, and there's some things too, same thing. So one of the things, it's not enough for us to have a map available. It needs to be mobile friendly, right? So that's one of the things, all of our materials, because people may not have home internet, but we've learned that most people have data on their mobile device. Right. So all of our things need to be mobile friendly. And that's one of the things that we actually address all the time for public engagement and things like that. So just know, same thing, when we did our MTP, we wanted engagement. We delivered paper surveys with Meals on Wheels and had interns take the data. So just know, I'm with you. I hear you. I hear you. So I look forward to that conversation
you do.
more and more. Okay. And same thing.
No, I was completely reassured. It was not a gotcha question.
Oh, no, not at all. But if there's ever an opportunity,
and how
you please let us know if we can help. Okay, sorry about that.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott, do you have a question or do you want to be
on the same page?
I'm a talker.
Actually, this is for Nicole. Since that public announcement for public comment comes out in late October, Can you make a note to either in the November or December to put that on our agenda to look at what these opportunity candidate projects are?
Yeah, I will be well before that, Scott,
Okay.
because our call for projects is due by September 15th. So I may even have a rough list for you by August.
Okay.
So I really want to start to get this. We already have ideas of the roads that we want to hit. So, I mean, add to the program. So
Okay, well, put yourself on the agenda then.
I'm always here, Scott.
Well, Andrea, thank you very much for all of
Thank you.
this
I'm sorry
information.
for the time, like I
Oh,
said,
that's
but
all right.
it is,
It's valuable
it's
information.
very interesting. I never thought I'd be doing this, but I actually, it fits me nicely now, you know, so thank you. I look forward to it. Okay.
We greatly appreciate you and
Okay.
all you do for us, Andrea. Thank you.
We're partners, you know, basically our goal is to deliver projects, and it is a trudge uphill in sand. It's the way I look at it, but you tell me.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other
Thank you.
comments from anybody on the call? Okay, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Adam Cummins is here, the Community and Economic Development Administrator, and he's going to present on the trials and tribulations of closing a road in the downtown area for economic growth. Adam?
Hey, thank you, Scott. Good evening, everybody. Definitely no uphill battle on this Albert Avenue closure. So,
Hey, Adam, if you don't mind, and sorry, Scott, there was a little hiccup with a public comment earlier on. So I had texted Adam that I would like to be able to get that person on, you know, and get him to present his 5-minute public comment.
Sure. Adam, if you don't mind, Adam, we'll do that now. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So the caller came on and went. So Brad, if you could let in the caller, I believe with the last numbers of 177, I think, was it?
Yep. Give me one second here.
Thank
There's
you.
actually 2 calls too. So there's 177 and 963. So I'll let 177 go. I know they were having difficulty.
Okay.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 177. You have the floor now.
Oh, am I on?
Hi.
Go ahead, yes.
Yes, you are.
My name is Arthur Slabowski. I live on Colorado Drive. It's come to my attention at our bike advocates meeting of the plans of the city and county to alter the intersection where Lake Lansing curves at the Quality Dairy in order to accommodate the trail crossing from Tower Avenue into the park, White Park. And this massive revamping that the county plans at the cost of $800 seems to start with an assumption that it isn't safe for people to cross at that triangle that forms a free flow lane. And I have to tell you that I've been crossing there for many years, many times, and other people have been doing it before this was discovered. There are crosswalks that should be provided. And even if you put in a pedestrian actuated signal, and there seems to be a feeling that that wouldn't be good enough, but I haven't seen anybody present data on the stopping sight distance or the gaps. If you take out some trees, you have a very lengthy view of approaching traffic. So it seems to me that it'd be very easy to provide a pedestrian actuated signal. And I don't like the whole idea of revamping that into a more normal intersection. I find the quirky intersection goes with the park and the corner store, but this is really too much to discuss in this forum, right, without it being an agenda item. Ingham County is presenting it through this Parks Commission. I mean, certainly it's related to a park, but it should be street experts that are deciding this, not park people, and not Parks Commission. It should go to the Transportation Commission. So I want to urge you to put this whole intersection with the city plans and the county plans explicitly laid out what they want to do and have a full airing before the citizens.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, I took off my headphones. Okay.
All right, thank you for that input.
Thank you.
You said we had a second caller?
Yes, one moment. All right, caller with the last three digits, 963, you can address the commission.
Hi, this is Alice Drager from East Lansing Info. I was mostly on the call to hear Art's comments because I knew those were coming. But I just wanted to explain that there are three different points of view on that intersection. And it does seem somewhat odd that the Transportation Commission is not actively involved in this conversation ongoing. So one point of view from the county is that there should be a whole revamping of that intersection so that basically there's no slip lane, but the road curves. And if you do that, then the two streets that interact from the north and from the east have to interact at a rather odd angle. The images I've been shown of it are surprising to me that the county would be interested in complicating the intersection in that particular way. The city, as I understand it, has been interested in simplifying the intersection, getting rid of the slip lane, having it be a simple cross intersection. But the county idea costs $800,000, as I understand it. The city's notion would cost $400,000, as I understand it. And what Art is suggesting is leaving it alone, but adding perhaps a signal that the pedestrian or the bicyclist pushes, which, as you know, then only changes the traffic light when somebody actually needs the traffic light changed in order to cross. That's the least expensive option and the least invasive option in terms of the infrastructure result. As I understand it, part of the reason the county wants to do it the way they want to do it is because they believe that it will allow car traffic to flow more smoothly along Lake Lansing Road. But I believe the other reason that they want to do it is potentially because there's federal funding available. And this is one of those things that happens to us a lot of the time where the grants are kind of driving what happens as opposed to necessarily the people who live here driving what happens. So I don't advocate for any of these. I'm simply reporting on this, but I do find it interesting that there are three very different points of view at very different price points. And it feels like the Transportation Commission has not discussed it. So that indeed was surprising to me that you all have not tackled this question. Thanks.
Nicole, do you know, thank you very much. Nicole, do you know why we haven't heard of this?
Mostly because it's Ingham County roads.
Oh, okay. It's
all the jurisdiction of Ingham County roadways. So, you know, while we're at the table with trying to get the pathway across, and our Parks and Rec department has done a wonderful job of getting Ingham County grant fundings for trails to get that trail across, because Meridian Township is also doing funding to be able to continue that trail all the way up to the aquatic center. You know, outside of that, because it's on our city, in our city limits, we don't have jurisdiction of those roadways. So we have to work with Ingham County.
That's what I suspected. Okay, thank you very much. And now we can get back to Adam Cummins.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam, again.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. I'm Adam Cummins, Community and Economic Development Administrator with the City of East Lansing. I started with the city last June. Actually, I think it was June 8th of last summer. So here we are a year later. Things look a little different, not much, but I've been excited to join the East Lansing team. A lot of things happening. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of those things that are happening and a little bit of the why. Why did we shut down 2 lanes on Albert Avenue? I see Nicole's face. She's wondering the same thing. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly.
You should have rights. I made you co-host. So.
I do. Thank you.
Okay.
So Albert Al Fresco, East Lansing, Al Fresco on Albert Avenue. So we're trying to make this fun and had to play on words. So to get started, I just want to provide everyone with context of the why behind the Albert Avenue closure and how it kind of furthers the goals of East Lansing economic recovery strategy from the COVID-19 pandemic. Since I started last June, it's been a lot of response. We're responding to a lot of different situations, no one's really encountered before. But primarily, our economic recovery strategy was focused on public health. And in order to, rebound and have an economic recovery, we realized, that public health was just directly linked to economic health more so than it's ever been. And so I say that because we started really brainstorming, okay, so what kind of economic, development strategies can we incorporate with public health? And so we took the recommendations of public health officials to stay safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that was to mask up, stay 6 feet apart, try to be outdoors in any environment where there's going to be others around. And so we did exactly that. We started what's called the Daytime, Nighttime, Anytime Place Project. And essentially, we were just trying to activate or reactivate public spaces because, we wanted to increase public space or outdoor square footage that folks could gather in and, participate in the local economy as safe as possible during the COVID-19 pandemic. So just a few examples. This is the Division Street Garage on Albert Avenue. Here's a before photo. Here's an after photo. This is an example of how we're trying to activate these spaces. Not only are we trying to enhance them with infrastructure and amenities, but we're really focused on keeping this community driven. And so what you see here, we did a chalk walk one day and had a lot of community members show up, actually. I thought I'd be there for 8 to 10 hours. We were there for 4 hours. I was like, wait, it's over already? You can see some turf down there, chairs. We put some art installations, those panels down there. The thought behind the panels is a little bit of privacy plus to help define those seating areas. Here's an example of our curbside pickup only zones. So you can see, if you zoom in close enough, these pink curbside pickup only zone signs, which are bright pink. We're trying to brand it so people would recognize them. We made a little headway with those pink signs, but not enough. So we went out and painted the lanes all bright pink, and it definitely has been getting people's attention. So we're seeing people use them as they were intended, and we're getting a lot of questions and feedback about them. So people are noticing them. This is a pedestrian link under Newman Lofts. Here's a before photo. Again, it's just, there's no seating infrastructure, not too many amenities. And so we simply just put some pop-up infrastructure in this space, and it's been pretty well received. It's always being utilized every time we're walking by, taking out observations. People really like this space. I like this space. And the pop-up furniture was only temporary. We've already pulled that out for the Albert Avenue closure. But what we hope we proved by placing that infrastructure in the pedestrian link is, hey, if we put some cool things here and make it an interesting, inviting place, people will come. People will come and eat outdoors and socialize and just, really participate in our local economy. Some of you may have heard about the Mac parking garage that we converted into a winter's farmer's market. We were trying to find, again, large space, outdoors. This is semi-outdoors with a massive HVAC system. But it was so underutilized, it's been sitting vacant. And so we needed a place that would protect folks from the elements during the winter months, that was large enough, had good airflow, and this fit perfectly. And we believe it was a huge success. So we may see that again next winter. Another public space up here is on the Marriott Plaza on the southeast corner of the plaza. Here's a before photo. And again, just some simple infrastructure, make things a little more comfortable, and people show up. It's really cool to see. And that brings us to Albert Avenue closure. So that Albert Avenue closure wasn't part of that place project, which all those slides were demonstrating what we've done with the place project and activating those spaces. However, it directly aligned with the place project goals and objectives, with helping restaurants and other businesses expand outdoors, providing more square footage for our community to socialize safely outdoors, and just really create a vibrant, active space. And so, you know, we did a little pilot last summer where both lanes were shut down and we allowed alcohol consumption. We placed some tables, but we did learn a few lessons from that, and based on the feedback from the community. And they wanted shade. They wanted to get rid of orange barricades. They just wanted us to create the space a little more inviting. And so we've been really focused on, you know, balancing safety with the, you know, wants and needs of the community and the local businesses. And so we came up with this alternative of closing just one lane, the south lane on Albert Avenue. And this is my really rough sketch drawing, doing my best to articulate what is going on in my head here. This orange line is supposed to reflect barricades on the south lane, Albert Avenue. This green space is Albert Avenue, that south lane, where we were trying to activate that one lane. And of course, these are the businesses that are adjacent to it. We proposed this as a, I guess, a compromise, if you will, based on feedback from the stakeholders. Some, you know, obviously didn't want any lane closures, but others said, hey, if you just close one and keep traffic flowing, I'd be okay with it. But again, there were others that did just want both lanes closed. So it was really all over. But I got a lot of feedback after I pitched this. The feedback, that's when it started coming in. And so based on that feedback, went back to the drawing board and said, okay, what else can we come up with? If you can kind of visualize Albert Avenue and this space, in the bike lane and how wide the sidewalk is, we found there was enough space on the north side of these black boxes, these planter boxes here, that would allow pedestrian walkway, an alternative pedestrian walkway, and then allow for businesses to occupy the entire sidewalk, the public right of way. However, you know, just working with Nicole and others, I don't think people were feeling too good about the safety aspect on that alternative, right? So there was that alternative one, and then alternative two. And when I say concerns about safety, I'm not saying it was unsafe. It's just if there's levels of safety, this alternative probably would be the least desired if you're going all in on safety. So once I pitched the original alternative one, just to close south lane, the community, there was a lot of response, you know, on both sides of the fence. And so what I was trying to do is just take it all in, but the majority of the responses came through phone calls and face-to-face visits. But there was one business owner that did start an online petition wanting both lanes closed, or at least the south lane closed of Albert Avenue. And it was really interesting to see, and good for me to see the response from the community. And can you see it come up? Did it pop up here? Are you still looking at my PowerPoint?
Still looking at the PowerPoint.
Okay.
We're seeing a hyperlink. I don't know that you want us to see anything else.
Yeah, I pulled up a website. Anyway, I'm going to get this PowerPoint to you guys, and you can check out the petition. I think there's about approximately 200 signatures, and then there's a lot of comments from the community. And it's just interesting to read and get some of the perspectives that are out there.
Was there a majority for one solution over another?
It's hard to tell. That's a very good question, because the feedback, it was coming to me in phone calls, or, I'm walking down the sidewalk to go get a coffee, and someone says, "Hey, Adam," and I go into the business and we start talking. Things were moving so quickly. There wasn't a very structured, organized way to collect that feedback after we had pitched the original alternative.
Okay.
So the most documented feedback is this online petition. I know there were letters written to City Council as well, both in support and not in support of the concept. But I would say, not based on any data, I would say the majority of feedback that I saw was the positive feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. And with businesses, it was really mixed. I'd say about 50-50 on, are they in support or not in support?
Well, first, go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
No, go ahead. I'll wait till the end.
So that, based on all that feedback and, ongoing conversations with Nicole and her team and a lot of folks, we decided the best option, both from an economic perspective, a social perspective, and environmental perspective, was to close both lanes. And so that this alternative was approved by council just last month, and actually just a week ago, I think. Last Tuesday. And so since last Tuesday, we've been really working hard to create that beautiful, inviting, interesting space that people desired. If you can see here, we're closing the lane. We closed both lanes already, right at the entrance to the Albert parking garage. We closed it at Grove Street and Albert Avenue intersection. And then just to the west of the alleyway on Albert Avenue, where Blue Owl is, we closed it there as well. And so I just included some signage we came up with. Of course, we have the road closed signs. We have barricades out there, but we added some signs that were more for beautification purposes, if you will. But we're getting a lot of positive feedback on those. And I think people are responding well to them. So that was my first time ever creating, being part of a team that's creating signage for road detours. So it's quite interesting. So here's the space as of, I think this was maybe Saturday. I took this photo. So you can see we're doing our best to add amenities, seating, infrastructure. What you're seeing down there, aside from those barricades, the turf, the tables, the umbrellas, that's all temporary. That's just infrastructure that we had on hand for other projects. And so there's plans for that infrastructure. So that's going to be removed. And then we're going to be placing just really seating down there, like rocking chairs, lounge chairs, hammocks. We're doing a lot of programming, art installations. We're just trying to make it a very comfortable, relaxing place that people can go and hang out. We are also, based on lessons learned from last summer, as of right now, we're just really focused on helping restaurants and bars expand their outdoor dining areas and to allow any alcohol consumption to occur within those outdoor dining areas that are managed, operated by those businesses. And so there's a grant program that we're getting ready to launch this week that's going to help businesses that are interested in expanding outdoors. These barricades here, you can see we beautified them. We painted them every color that we could get our hands on. You can see there's a bench on top of the barricades. We created bench seating and then anchored light poles into them as well. And so there's, of course, string lighting. We've got some modified barricades and a lot more coming in the next week or so. This photo I took last Friday. This was probably at, 4:30, 5 p.m. Barrio had submitted an outdoor dining area expansion application, which was approved. And within, I'd say 30 seconds of placing the tables down, they were occupied. I mean, it was just swarms of people. I went down Friday evening just to check things out. I put my name in at Barrio. Excuse me. There was an 1.5-hour wait, and that was everywhere. And so people were going and using the infrastructure we set out there. And we're hoping they're going to be using the games that we're going to be placing out there as well. Just give me 1 second. And so here is the why. Here's a good example of the why. Why did we do this? You know, we had 2 lanes of road that brought traffic and cars, and we closed those lanes down. And so now you're seeing this.
What time of the day was this?
Probably about 30.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it was just night and day how that space was activated. And so that's obviously was very nice to see. So, and with that, does anyone have any questions?
I mean, are we looking at 1 lane closure then, or the total road closure?
We went with alternative 3 that closed both lanes. Yeah, both
Okay, so
bound and westbound.
So the other lane where we saw the skateboarders would be pedestrian, bicyclists, skateboarders, and not automotive.
No, yeah, no automobiles. We're leaving that lane open for emergency access and, you know, pedestrian traffic.
Well, Adam,
Hey,
go ahead.
No, I just wanted to give that's phenomenal. I mean, from just an economic perspective, from a communal perspective, the level of thought that went into this is phenomenal. I think it really shows. I thought last year was great, and I think you guys clearly took feedback and made it 10 times better. So that's phenomenal. I'm excited to check it all out.
Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, I wanted to reiterate that. I also would like to congratulate you on your 1-year anniversary, and I'm glad you're with the city to help.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here too. I'm having a blast. I'm a little tired after this past year, but I'm having fun.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Adam?
I do. I wanted to, of course, add my praise to the project. I think it looks fantastic down there. Those signs are great. Every time I see them, they make me laugh. So that's a nice change for a sign. But I do have sort of 2 related questions. So I know one of the criticisms about this approach, as I'm sure you're well aware, is that it disproportionately and inequitably advantaged certain businesses and not others. And so I was curious if you are finding that some of the, even if you just focus on restaurant businesses that are not directly on the closed off area, are they seeing an increase in business? And or have you thought about recovering from this and then expanding to do, say, you know, I don't know, I don't think that's the right term, but like parklets in the parking zone, say near what is Potbelly and Omi Sushi and stuff? Or any thoughts?
I am glad you asked. Parklets are being installed at Division Street Garage. You know,
oh great.
Hoping to get them installed by the end of June, but I keep calling my contractor. Okay. I'm like, hey man, we need modified barricades, and now my umbrellas were destroyed in the wind, and so he's building pergolas. Yes, but the parklets are coming. They'll be done soon. So we're gonna place them at Division Street and hope that we get buy-in and people can see that, hey, if you replace this parking space with seating, it's going to obviously more butts can sit there, more people can be there, and it's only a good thing for all of downtown. Yeah, there were concerns about how we were just, you know, benefiting the three businesses. You know, what I keep telling folks is take a look at what we're doing on every block of downtown. This is just one piece of the puzzle. This is, in that piece of the puzzle, there's this built environment that we have to work with. And that particular place just happens to have a built environment that is conducive to shutting down two lanes and making a pedestrian-centric area. Okay. And that was the only thought behind it. And so, to answer your question about benefiting, you know, businesses down the street, you know, around the block, we don't know yet, but we're coming up with a data collection scheme, and we hope that we're able to collect data to find out, because good or bad, I want to know, are we doing the right thing? Are we making the right decisions? Are we having the desired outcomes? Because if we're not, I can certainly get a lot more sleep.
Well, Adam, you know, if you're not already doing it, one of the things you can do is go get testimonials from those businesses that were benefited, so that you can show those to the people in the next area that you want to affect.
Yeah, and that's a great recommendation. I don't know if you guys knew that we launched the Weekend Warrior program over the winter. We partnered with the Rotary Club, and every Saturday we went down and managed outdoor heaters, you know, just trying to activate these spaces. And I had one business owner say, my sales, the 2 times you were there, were 20% higher than any other Saturday in the past 10 months, right? The art lab, they had the record number of attendance they've ever had when we did our pop-up art installations there. And so I imagine, I mean, if you take a look at that video I showed you, there's an hour and a half wait. I went somewhere else. I went to go to Barrio, and then I went to 2 other places before I went back to Barrio with my tables. You know, we hope to get the data we need to make a business case one way or another.
Okay.
I thought that the heater program was fantastic, and I didn't even realize that the city was engaged with that. I thought it was strictly the Rotary Club, but it was really lovely. So kudos to that as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments from anybody on the call? Okay, well, thank you very much, Adam. We appreciate the information.
Much appreciated.
Yep. Thanks, Adam.
I'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Next item on the agenda is the discussion of invitees and topics for the 2021 meeting. We have added to that the MSU Ellie on her the bill that the MSU student government passed, if she's available or if someone they designate is available. I'm going to leave it up to Nicole to let us know if we would have the potential candidate projects to talk about or look over. Nicole, did we have anyone of our list from the town, Meridian, Michigan State, Michigan Municipal League, City of Lansing, or MSU Transportation?
Last time we spoke about getting Meridian Township Transportation Commission to come to the August meeting, and so I can reach out to them and see if that's something that they would like to do.
Okay, if they can't, my suggestion was, since we're having Ellie talk, to have MSU Transportation talk as well. And the reason also is that come September, they might get really busy anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. We can look into that as well.
Okay.
And then next call for projects.
Okay, the next item we have is a discussion of important transportation and mobility issues in East Lansing. There wasn't any submitted other than the one that we got the photographs on. And Nicole, if I could turn that over for you to display those, I can, but if you have them handy. I have them handy if you don't.
Yeah, they're in my email somewhere.
All right, hang on.
If you have them more handy than I do, then I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'll bring them up and share. Save all attachments. Okay. And let me open them Hang on just a second. And these may not be in order when I open them, just so you know, but I don't think there is actually an order. Ah. Sorry. Let me open that again.
I can address these while you're bringing them up.
Yeah, would you please?
So this is just east of People's Church. We've gathered our ways around the construction there when we had a lane closure for the better part of a month, maybe through there, where the barrels closed one lane and pedestrians could walk in that lane, whether we were allowed there or not, got us around that area. I didn't know how these could be presented, which is why I sent them to you, Scott. And that is to show that we're going to get around these as we do everything else by walking in the street. The barricades are tipped over and trampled on, and I really think we're not doing justice to get people around downtown. And this was the first day of the farmers market, and that was the morning I was down there with a camera. I've been watching this all week. It's kind of my route downtown, and I think we could do a better job. If this now small closure could be just backfilled temporarily or something. I know they don't want people stepping off a curb into an area waiting for concrete, but what we're doing is stepping off the curb into traffic. And the pictures show people walking around with a stroller with two little ones and a stroller out into the traffic lane. And they also show the tipped over barricades, which is pretty typical of angle iron bases and sandbags, and they remain like that for quite a while. Right in front of People's Church, you have a sign tipped over with angle iron strutting up, and the plastic barricades each side of this were tipped over with the pipe sticking up from their footing. And they're asking you to cross again at People's Church. And I'll just comment that I brought this up on the April 5th meeting on the challenges of that crossing. And not 20 minutes later, I was headed downtown, stopped at that eastbound light. And what I saw was we were stopped at a red light. Two pedestrians crossed at the red light and it immediately turned green. As surprised as they were, one ran back one way and one ran to the island the opposite way. And the problem with that intersection is you cannot tell when there's a caution light and we're going to get a green light. You cannot see the traffic light, like you would in a normal, thank you, there's the one in front of People's Church, but a normal intersection where you might see the caution light where you're ready to turn, you cannot see that. So it goes from red to green and you have no idea until you're in the middle of traffic. And that's where we're expecting people to cross to avoid this. And instead we just head across here.
Well, and my other concern for looking at these pictures was this example right here, where the stuff has not been installed correctly or robustly. The same with some of the side barriers, like this one, which is down. I see there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures. Yeah,
well, you get the gist of what the challenges are, and this is ongoing. When the lane was closed, we easily could walk in that lane safely. When the lane was closed and you had construction vehicles blocking that lane or sitting and parking in that lane, it was even more difficult to cross in front of People's Church, to cross across there on the detour, because you had parked vehicles that you couldn't see around to know there is no stopping westbound traffic. It's just straight through. So again, I bring that up again, but I'm bringing up here that we're not accommodating an area like this that I think could be just backfilled temporarily. If we're waiting weeks for concrete, let's just trudge through the sand or something. Instead, this is what we have, and it's I really think we could do better.
Yep, understood. I've already sent a note to the contractor, John, based on that, to get their timeline of construction. because, they've been going back and forth on, where that retaining wall juts out, because that's going to be pushed back to be able to do that. And so that's what I said, if it's going to go any longer, they need to backfill it.
Yeah,
I would agree.
think, and if you look at the benches that are now, the new benches that are out in front of the Graduate Hotel and area there, I would invite you to sit on those and realize the traffic is zooming past within inches of you on the edge of the bench. I'm wondering why we couldn't have barriers along sitting at the curb. So I felt safer sitting on those benches. That traffic that is westbound and on Grand River, they're juggling for 2 lanes into one at 35 miles an hour. And there's times it's quite frightening through there. And as nice as that looks, it's a little unsettling. So, and I think the point is well taken that we could do a temporary fill while they're discussing,
Yes.
onward.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, Nicole's got the note to pass on. Do we have any unfinished business?
The unfinished business it's not really unfinished business, is, just to always take into account that we're still working towards the Highland resolution for their speeding in the neighborhood. That's always going to be on there, on my list, essentially, until we can get some resolutions. We don't need to, take up our time here to say the same thing we said at the last meeting, but it's within your preview to, talk about that if needed.
Does anyone have anything to add on that?
I'd like to add that my daughter is in a condo down on Glenmore, which is the next street, one west of Highland. And that is not a cut-through street. And I'm amazed at the speed some of those cars come through there as you're backing out, because parking on that area is just off the street. And I'm sure if you stop those speeding cars, they live there. I'm just amazed. I was passed on Grand River just the last month here in the turning lane. A car passed by me in the turning lane to get by me at speed. I think we're seeing driving faster. I live on Harrison Road where the speed limit is 25, and there's those few cars that obviously are a little frightening. And I think it's everywhere. It's 75 miles an hour speed limit on the interstate, and we know that's exceeded. So I think everybody's driving faster until there's a fender bender or something, or an accident or a death.
Well, we've had the highest number of deaths in the last 7 years on the roads over the last 12 months. And initially they were attributing it to during COVID that there were fewer people driving, but people were driving more aggressively who were on the road. They're also attributing it to the fact that driving is a process of continual learning. That if you don't drive for a while, you get worse at it because you're not paying as attention, you're not acclimated to it. And because we're seeing the return of students, they're less likely to obey the traffic signals and roads. So, and the number of just accidents and injuries were incredibly higher than 2019 as well. So yeah, it is a problem on every road in the country right now. I mean, we've been down to like 34,800 deaths, and the last full report was almost 38,000. So we took a significant jump. Any other comments on that topic? Okay. Any committee reports? We had a traffic calming committee, but I don't know that they have. Do they have? Troy, you're on that, aren't you?
I don't
remember.
recall that. But...
I don't remember. Nicole, do you remember who was on that committee?
I believe Syed and John were on there with, you weren't on there either, John?
I'm going to throw my arms up that when we talked to Scott House, that what we've tried, I just think we're misbehaving out there. I'll add that I have a commercial truck driver's license, and I haul research farm equipment around the state for the university. I know that Michigan also has the heaviest trucks in the nation. Michigan trucks can weigh 168,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And now we can go 75 plus miles an hour distracted. I am challenged out there, and the roads are in bad shape. There's times I'm traveling Charlotte Road on 69. I think it's going to pull a hitch out of the truck. So,
Yeah,
even with roads fixing, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by thinking we all need to get there faster.
Yeah,
So I don't have any answers for a calming commission. I'm
This
not
was
very calm
the
about it.
traffic calming, the update to the traffic calming action plan for the neighborhoods.
Oh, understood. Yes, and
Yeah,
that was
okay.
we did.
But to your point, it was at least a decade ago that I brought it up to Kurt Steudel when he was the director of DOT. I said, Minnesota, Wisconsin, they don't have the problems with the roads we have, and every indication we have, it's because we allow the tandem trailers and the 168,000 pound limit. And the answer that the line MDOT was going with is, well, what do you want? Twice as many trucks? Or repairing the roads more often. And I'm like, I don't think it's an either or solution. So I totally agree with you. I mean, those trucks tear up the roads incredibly, and the asphalt and concrete lobby has gotten a particular mix in that is efficient and high margin for them, but it's not the most sustainable road.
So, Nicole, your comment was that we were to look at that for some updates on the traffic calming.
Yeah, we were trying to really get together some sort of subcommittee without violating any OMAs to be able to move forward with updating the semi-antiquated traffic calming action plan that we give to many people to start moving forward with, different ideas and different mechanisms for their neighborhoods. So we may need to think about that differently. Maybe we have a consultant update it and it comes here for comments. We're going to be coming up to our non-motorized transportation plan update, that we're going to have some input on, and maybe it kind of is tangent to that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might be a better approach. We as local community residents tend to be somewhat myopic in terms of how can we fix the problem. We're going by the solutions we've always used. Ticket speeders, put up more signage, whatever. But there may be more viable things out there that a practitioner in the space would know of.
Correct.
Any other comments on that item? Now we'll go. Are there any reports? I have no reports, and I'll go to defer to Julie next. Do you have any reports to the board?
I do not. Thank you.
Does Troy, Joel, Joshua, John, anybody else have any comments? Yes, Nicole.
I'll just give a quick update on our projects around East Lansing. Okay. So we are, heavy into construction on our Abbott Road project. This is one of our projects that we did get funding through for an MDOT funding, I should say, through the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. So let's see, we're continuing on. This is the closure then from Saginaw to Lake Lansing. So construction is going well. They're getting new curb in on the west side. They're getting closer and closer on that west side to be able to pave it so that they can flip traffic and then do the crushing and shaping on the east side as well. So we're continuing to work with people on that because everybody loves closing Abbott. There are some lane closures north of Lake Lansing. This is for a permitted function for the Provision Living up there, just one way each north and south. They're taking out portions of the median there for that development. That's north of Lake Lansing. And because, why not just do more stuff on Abbott? We are going to close Abbott at North Lawn to through traffic starting tomorrow. This is for about a 1 week duration. So this is for us to be able to make a critical water infrastructure connection on the east side of the road at North Lawn. We are, I'm just going to switch right into that next project, and that's our East Glencairn project. We are continuing with that one. We installing water main from Sunset, and now we're at Abbott to make that connection. We're on Stewart and South Lawn, going to make a connection over there. And the contractor is continuing to work on getting the water infrastructure installed, and then they're going to come back and start on the sewer infrastructure. And there will be a Harrison closure there too, John, just letting you know, when we do the sewer part on the other side. So that's the East Glencairn. I spoke about our local road projects. Those are coming up they're out to bid right now. These are our local road projects. They will come into bid here we'll get bids in about a week. They'll go to city council towards the end of this month. This is Blanchette, Gainsborough, Charles Division, Roseland, Oakland, that other one. Maplewood. Maplewood. Oh my gosh. Sorry, residents of that community. So we'll get bids in and then we'll start that construction project right away. So we're getting our engineering firm on board to design Bircham for 2022. And for those of you who are kind of in the area over by Woodingham Drive, the Woodingham Drive has now been repaved in front of the pump station. So that's been a key road that's been closed for a while. So that makes a lot of people happy. So any questions about those projects or any other projects around the city?
Do we have an update?
I have a quick question. I think I saw on eastbound Saginaw that it's getting closed at some point soon.
That's great. I think that was an oddly placed sign, but yes, MDOT is going to be, as MDOT mentioned last meeting, I think they're going to be some repaving there at the Coolidge area. So
okay.
Indoor area. The sign is placed like going into East Lansing, which I saw this morning, but I feel like it should be the other way. But
okay, thank you, because that's what I remember them talking about that, and the sign placement absolutely threw me off, as it was intended to, perhaps. But thank you for the clarification.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, the North Lawn. What is actually happening in North Lawn and Abbott?
North Lawn and Abbott, we're connecting the water main, but the East Glencairn Neighborhood Improvement Project is we're installing large diameter sewer, water main, and resurfacing roads throughout there.
So will that intersection at will Abbott be closed where it crosses North Lawn?
Yes, for about a week.
Starting, you said next
tomorrow.
Week? Tomorrow. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Tomorrow, first thing in the morning?
Yep.
That's what I'm asking. I swim over at the
leave now
at 6 every morning.
Leave now.
I got to another route.
I guess I forgot to mention our most wonderful project downtown, the Albert Avenue Extension Project. If anybody has been down there recently, it's coming along wonderfully. So I just get amazed as you stand downtown and you look towards Valley Court Park. It is like it's open. You can see things. The road is going through there. It's the pedestrian. If anybody remembers when the bank was there, that was not very good to be able. You had to walk through the bank to get down there. Anyway. The drive-through, I don't think you were supposed to, but anyway.
I twisted my ankle in that very spot. Absolutely like a bad sprain on that very parking lot, cutting through as a pedestrian.
So it's coming along. They're grading out the road and the new parking lot over there right now. So, but it is coming together quite nicely. And another portion is we may be able to mill and resurface portions of Valley Court as well as we're getting done with the project. So
okay.
Any update on the credit union?
Yeah, MSU Federal Credit Union is going to start their project, but not until July, like July 26th. This is what I've heard, and that's to start with the building demos of the DDA properties. So 314 on the corner is being demoed. 328 and 334, the DDA properties, those are all going to be demoed and then being used as staging to build MSU Federal Credit Union.
Because those areas are outside the building footprint. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. Yes. Yep. And there will be some lane closures as part of that project as well. So any other project questions?
The Spartan Village building going, the IT, is that outside your scope?
It's somewhat outside of our scope, mostly because the biggest agreement is between MSU and MSU Foundation and TechSmith and everything. But we are involved in some components of that project, and I cannot tell you right now if it's broken ground or not, but I know that if it hasn't, it should be soon.
Yeah, they are in there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
anything else?
I have a quick, to go back to like what the caller we're talking about, the Lake Lansing, White Hills Park
Yep.
intersection. So obviously we have no control over it. It's Ingham County, is that?
Correct.
Okay, so has anyone at East Lansing formed an opinion that they've expressed to Ingham County, or are we just like deferred?
No, we're not deferring by any means, Troy. So Wendy Longpre, our Parks and Rec Assistant Director, has been coordinating this effort with Ingham County for a long time now, because she received some Ingham County funds to be able to extend the trail north across that. So the biggest goal here was to be able to get pedestrians across Lake Lansing Road. And then it's the coordination that they've been going back and forth with. What's the best way to do it? Okay, is it the realignment, making it a four-way intersection? Okay, seems good. You have, ability to stop traffic on pedestrian and motorized traffic on all sides. You can get people across. And, safely, in my opinion. That was one option, and an option that we were going with Ingham County. And then they said, well, wait a minute, what if we, just had the roadway go through? Then you have, let's see, Birch Avenue, I think, and then Tower comes in. So Birch Avenue, T into Lake Lansing there. And then you put a stoplight or a signal there at that location, which would be actuated for pedestrian control. So I think part of what the caller said with having a signal there to be actuated is part of the plan there, to be able to, have the Lake Lansing traffic move through that intersection and then be stopped regularly, whether it's, by cars coming on Birch and actuating the signal at that point, or by pedestrian control. On that way too. So that's the way that they wanted to go. Our focus is to get pedestrians across. So we want to be able to effectively move pedestrians across that intersection safely, and, not having any stopping mechanism was a concern. So that's why, we're just, okay, let's just keep it moving, but it costs more. We already got a grant that we were to include not just our initial one, which was getting people just across the through lane there through an like RRFB, or I think is what we had proposed. From that, got more money to include a signal. And then this is the next step. Now Ingham County is going to get the additional money to be able to redo that intersection.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I mean, I can have Wendy, or I can reach out to Wendy in Ingham County, have them present at some point. This project's not going to take place until like 22, 23, I think. So it's not like, next month. They're not closing the road tomorrow.
Any other comments from anyone online? Any other comments or questions from anyone online? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
And a second? Is there
Second.
any objection to changing the motion by acclamation? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 7:40. Have a great weekend, everyone.